The Broken Wheel podcast is intended for adult audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Break the Wheel podcast. I was going to wait to do my second episode. However, events have pushed me to the point where I have to do it tonight. Now, I understand, I can see there's some connection issues going on, and I don't know why. But we have to go over this tonight. We're going to go over it. So, guys, I'm going to be a little choppy, I can see there. I don't know why I'm choppy. I don't know why we have the issues we have on Facebook. Hopefully this is going to be remedied soon, because I found out that we are going to have a new cable provider in my neighborhood. I'm so excited. So excited. Trying to liven up a little things going on right now. But tonight, I wanted to wait. I wanted to let y'all marinate on the new podcast. However, 2 words started things. 2 words. I'm about to show you guys. 2 words. 2 words. This podcast, first of all, if you haven't read the what this podcast is about tonight, it's about tolerance. Okay? 2 words. 2 words spark shit on my fucking Facebook. 2 words, ladies and gentlemen. 2 words. 2 freaking words. We're going to get into this tonight, because I was shocked. Okay? And I'm going to explain everything to you guys, exactly how it went down. And I left it on there for a reason, because I'm a guy that doesn't hide anything or pull any punches. If you want to see what I'm about, you can read the whole freaking conversation. You can read anything I put on there. I will not delete it. Unless Facebook takes it away from me. And this is why I had those 2 words on here. Now, let's begin. So, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, God damn it. Watch my podcast. I'm not in the mood. All right. So, as you can see, I put Parlay at Zeppel. So, I am a member of Parlay. Now, the reason why I joined Parlay is because it's no secret that I've had podcasts, I've had videos, and I've had certain things banned by Facebook. I've been in Facebook jail, and I have an issue with that. And this is my issue, and I'm going to be very clear, and I've tried to explain to certain people, because people, and we're going to talk about Parlay in a little bit, and I'm not going to go through all this fucking bullshit. If y'all want to look at it, go ahead. 75 fucking deals, 75 replies, and a lot of these weren't even fucking me. 2 of my friends decided to go at it about politics, okay? All I put on there, and I want you to read what I put, Parlay at Zeppel. Why did I join Parlay? I'm going to tell you why. I'm tired of my speech being banned and people from other fucking countries deciding what is appropriate and what is not. I am also tired of Facebook not deciding whether they are a content provider or a publisher. This group decided it. They are a content provider. They will not be banning free speech. See, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a little information, okay? And maybe I should have put this on the screen for you guys, but I decided to go ahead and just wing this podcast tonight. In fact, I'm not even on Podbean like I usually am as well, so I'm kind of disappointed. I just put this together real quick. I stubbed my toe today. It's all fucking bruised, but whatever. The show must go on, ladies and gentlemen. The show must go on. Now, what was I going to talk about? Oh, Parlay. What was I going to talk about, Parlay? Fuck, I didn't even remember what I was going to talk about. See, that's how frustrated I am. I have 2 people. These people frustrated me, and I'm going to get to it. And these are friends of mine, and I hope them very well, and I hope that they do well in life and whatever. I love these people. But God damn, they went at each other like crazy. And so we're going to talk about tolerance tonight, and I'm going to tell you something. Now, parlay. Okay, so all these people say that parlay is just right-wing conspiracy bullshit. Like, look, here's the deal. I am tired and sick and tired of being censored on Facebook, and I'm tired of them deciding to bend the rules when they want. I'm tired of somebody from another country telling me what I can do in my own fucking country. Because I think that if there's a platform on the internet in my country, it should follow our constitution. If there's a different constitution in a different country, then there should be different things. Let the country ban that. Let the country, you know what I'm saying? I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of all this, this dictator fucking bullshit on language. That's going to be a whole different topic for another time, okay, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to talk about language tonight. That's going to be this weekend. I want to talk about it. All right, so I'm just going to go into some of the meat and potatoes. So I'm going to click this, and I really don't want to. So what is the true purpose of parlay? Personally, I think that, it has a lot of right-wing people on there. I also think that a lot of people from the left wing should join parlay to make this thing honest. And that's what I said on there. And when somebody said that he joined, I was happy about it because I saw some liberal stuff on there. I've seen some conservative stuff on there. I mean, I've actually tried to look for different things and I've found them. So and I didn't want to bore you guys with all that crap and whatever, but I just wanted to show you that this caused this podcast. And I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to call anyone out. I'm not doing that. That is not why I'm having this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm having this podcast because I want to talk about why this happened and what's going on. So, first of all, I found an article. This article is from 2016, but it's so relevant today, ladies and gentlemen. America today is two different countries. They don't get along. That is truth. That is the truth. It makes no fucking sense why we can't get along, but this is what it is. America is two different countries and they don't get along. Wow. Man, this is sad. This is sad. Man, we're in the 21st century. When I was growing up in the 90s, I was taught the civil rights movement in school, and I was taught, about Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all these other, civil rights activists. I mean, there's so many. I don't want to discredit any of them. But I remember growing up, I was like, okay, so we're thinking, okay, you learn about this and, we're going to grow up and it's even going to be better. That's what I actually thought in school because, when I grew up, all this shit never really happened, and I don't remember it, and if it did, I don't remember it. I do remember the Rodney King thing, but I remember people got mad and upset about that, and other than that, I got along with everyone. When I saw people, I didn't see a color of a person. I saw the person's the name, hey, how you doing? And that's what was always embedded in my mind. That's how I've always been. Some people are not, okay? I don't know, okay? I can't speak for anyone else, but I can only speak for myself, okay? I also can't speak for people, who have gone through, other things in their lives. I can't speak on that either, okay? And I'm not pretending to be someone who's going to talk about a whole different movement or whatever. I never walked in those shoes, and I'm not going to pretend I ever did. But this is truth right here. Look. And then look, there's a couple things I want to read here. Okay. So the citizens of the two nations disagree about many things, including the Affordable Care Act, environmental regulation, immigration reform, abortion, and same-sex marriage. But what may be even more significant than policy disagreements is the fact that citizens of these two nations look at each other with deep suspicion and hostility. That is true. Oh my God, I saw that shit last night, and it kind of freaked me out. It actually kind of pissed me off, to be honest with you, because I was like, whoa, we are way past this. I thought we were. We should be. We should be. I'm sorry, we should be. I have personal. I have a personal thinking. I have a personal hypothesis of why this happened, and it has to deal with a generation teaching another generation this shit. But that's different. that's gonna be for a different time. That's that will go on my rant about millennials and baby boomers, and I want to have a whole podcast about that. But so listen to that statement. The citizens of these two nations, these two groups, and when they say nations, they're talking about the Democrat and Republican Party, look at each other with deep suspicion and hostility. Those on the other side are no longer viewed as political rivals, but as enemies. Wow. As enemies. 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 Not political rival. Not a rival, but an enemy. That's two different types of words. A rival is someone that, rivals you, but there's no hostility. It's just kind of, like a competition thing. Now you went from rival to enemy. What the fuck? What the hell happened to this country? We went from rivals to enemies, right? So now, these attitudes are increasingly found among supporters of both major parties, but they are clearly more prevalent today among Republican voters. This may be partially due to the fact that a president from an opposing party provides a high-profile target for partisan attacks. But there is no doubt that anger and fear have been cultivated by GOP leaders and candidates as a tool for energizing and mobilizing the party's base in elections. Okay, now, I will say that in 2016 it happened. Now, there's a reason why I brought this article, because they should have wrote a follow-up article for 2020. Both parties started doing this. So it's not just Republican Party. Democrat Party did this too, okay? I want you to think about this, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to think about what I'm about to tell you. Both political parties now have mobilized militias. I want you to think about that. I want you to really put that in your head when you listen to my podcast. Both political parties now have mobilized militias. You have Antifa, and then you have the Patriots on the Republican side. So you have literally these political parties now have militias. This is unreal. I mean, unreal. Okay, so we're not going to go back, because this is more into the, into the actual 2016 deal. But I wanted to show you that. Now, I want to go back. Let me go back. Let me click on. Sorry, guys. Let me click on this. I thought I had it set up. Oh, I do. Never mind. I do. Okay. Let me go back to this map I posted on the podcast last time. I want to get a little more into this, because this is important. There's a reason why we have people from certain areas that get so worked up and so aggressive, and why we have this divide in this country. Because before, as we started and we started talking in the last podcast, we talked about how before, there shouldn't be a reason, and I'm just going to say this, there should not be a reason why a presidential election should scare you. There shouldn't be a reason why these elections, you should think you should be worried about what will fucking happen after these elections happen. We shouldn't be so polarized in this country that, oh my God, the world's coming to the end. We gotta fight. We gotta fight. Like, those thoughts really shouldn't. In this day and age, you would think wouldn't pop up, but guess what? They have. So the interesting thing is, if you look at this, you have, in this map here, I really want to concentrate about Greater Appalachia, and I want to talk about the Deep South, and I want to talk about how this is where, in my opinion, because I want to show you there's areas of clashing. This map actually kind of shows you where these areas of clashing would be and why. If you really look at this map, look. Okay, so let's talk about the first area, Portland, Oregon. So Portland, Oregon is kind of on a boundary between the left coast, which is the hybrid of the utopian, the Yankee utopianism and Appalachian exploration and self-expression, wedged between Pacific, pretty much Yankeedom, which is common good, pretty much political, more comfortable with government regulation, blah, 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 with the far west, which is kind of, they felt exploited. They don't want to deal with that shit. So look, you have a state. I want y'all to look at this. Seattle and Portland. The west part of the state, you would call that probably a liberal area, and then this is all your conservative area. Okay, you know, this is interesting. This is very interesting. So you have states that are divided, an actual state that's divided, and look at the clashing. I mean, look at this. Boom, boom. Two areas, high profile areas. Look, L.A. Look, guys, L.A. Same thing, same thing. San Francisco. You see, close proximity of people that are totally different. So you could use this map and see where this clashing could be. Look, D.C., Greater Appalachia, who if you read from Ireland, war ravaged Ireland, England and Scotland lowlands, they were always in near constant danger. Values individual liberty and suspicious of aristocrats and social engineers. Well, guess what? Your tidewater is your social engineers. So you have your clashes, close proximity, Washington D.C. New Orleans. New Orleans is different because you have the deep south and New France. They're kind of similar. They're very kind of similar. However, the culture in southern Louisiana, and I'll use southern Louisiana. I'm not going to say southwest Louisiana. I'll use southern. Is very different than northern. That's kind of our. And look, if you see on the map, boom, it's different. It's different. Very different. Then you have what is this? Let's see. Is the where is it? Well, whatever. This is the. There's one more here, and this is like I forgot what it's called. It's the southern portion is a separate Spanish Caribbean nation. Okay, we have that. There it is. The point being, ladies and gentlemen, is you can use this map here and you can pretty much decipher where are these riots and all this shit's gonna happen. New York, look, New York, the Midlands, swing stations, swing nation. This is a swing nation. You really don't have, if you think about it, you don't have any, kind of conflict here. But wait, you have Yankeedom and New Netherlands. A little interesting. But wait, you have the far west, close to Chicago here. You have Yankeedom, and then you have the Midlands. Top down government rejects top down government. So you have Chicago. So again, guys, you look at this map and you can determine when you're going to have riots and you're going to have civil unrest. Pull this map up. Find this map online. You can almost guess who's going to fight. This sits well today. I kind of went over this and looked over it and kind of went over it, and I'm telling you, this actually is a really interesting map. Once you keep on reading it and looking into it and kind of comparing it to today's situation, ladies and gentlemen, this map is very interesting. Now, let's talk about this. The paradox of tolerance. I want to really talk about this. Paradox of tolerance. The paradox of tolerance states that if a society is tolerant without limit, its ability to be tolerant is eventually seized or destroyed by the intolerant. In order to maintain a tolerant society, the society must be intolerant of intolerance. So, to be tolerant, you have to be intolerant of intolerance. You see, it's a paradox because really you can't. In this case, it's just it's very hard to describe. I guess tolerance, but let's just continue. Let's go into tolerance and free speech. The paradox of tolerance is important in discussion of what, if any, boundaries are to be set on freedom of speech. This is why I want to go over this. In Popper's paradox of tolerance and its modification of the boundaries of liberty and tolerance, struggle against Israel departs from Popper's of imminent threat to physical harm to extend the argument for censorship to psychological harm, and asserts that to allow freedom of speech to those who would use it to eliminate the very principle upon which the freedom relies is paradoxical. Okay. However, I tend to disagree. I say this: the freedom of speech has to be total. It has to be, and you have to be tolerant of all speech. Okay? Again, it goes back to being intolerant of intolerance. That's not possible. You're either intolerant or intolerant. And that's why this paradox, to me, it just doesn't really, I don't know, for me it's not really a paradox. It's more of it has to be absolute. The reason why it has to be absolute is that because you have to allow people to ascertain and make a decision for themselves whether or not the speech itself is good or bad. And then they can make a decision whether or not, after listening to such speech, whether they want to continue to listen or to walk away, shut it off, or whatever they want to do. Okay? What's going on right now, though, is people are very intolerant. People are not, and we're going to be going over this in a second, but I wanted to go over this and pretty much say that, free speech is an absolute. It has to be. Without free speech, all our other rights fall. So when you read something like this, you have to realize that, there's a paradox of intolerance if and only if you want to be intolerant of any type of speech. The goal is to be tolerant of speech, whether it's bad speech or good speech. You can make the decision not to listen to it. You can make the decision to walk away. You can make any of all of these decisions to do what you need to do to just alleviate yourself from the situation. However, people are not doing this. They're not doing this purposely, and we're going to get into why in a second. Now, the new intolerant America. This just came out in September. I read this today. I was reading articles today, kind of, when I can. And man, I want to go over this article. This article is outstanding. Okay, and I'm just going to highlight some points here. It's okay. According to the Cato Institute surveys released this summer, 50% of strong liberals support the idea of firing business executives who donate to Donald Trump's election. I want you to think about it. Listen to that. 50% of liberals, strong liberals, want to fire executives who donate to the other side. It's appalling. And that's what it says here. It's an unsurprising statistic, given the growing embrace of cancel culture, or concede or conform, as somebody else put it, cancel culture, among the far left politics. And I wish somebody was really watching this right now, because I'm getting into some shit that's really fucked up. However, it's not just the far left in America's progressive movement that has a disturbing intolerance for political diversity. As it turns out, more than a third of strong conservatives also support firing executives who donate to their political opposition. So you're talking about messing with people's livelihoods because they support a political party. What the fuck? What the fuck is that? That is horrible. This is horrible. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. Like, when I started reading this article, I was like, holy shit, this and this is correct. I'm actually going to be posting this article. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do this right now. Let me copy this. No. Let me copy this. I so want to put this on my website, on my copy. All right. Yeah, so I want to put that on my Facebook, because that's just like, oh my God, it's just crazy. All right, let's continue. So, our long day at work. Our obsessively partisan political climate in America is driving this trend of intolerance, with more Americans each year subscribing to the notion that anyone who disagrees with them must somehow be silenced or shamed into submission. This is exactly what's going on in America right now. I find this in the workplace. I find this in public. I find this on Facebook. People just don't know how to be normal fucking people. They're all fucking shits. Man, yeah, you don't agree with me. You gotta shut up. We got a crybaby culture. That's what we have. We have a bunch of pussies, which I said last podcast. It's a disturbing trend, to be sure. However, it was completely predictable given the degree to which political debates have permeated virtually every corner of our modern life. That's true. Everything's a fucking debate. Everything's a debate. From football games to social media, it seems as though every aspect of our daily lives have been touched by political debate and controversy. In the age of coronavirus, perhaps masks are the greatest example of how even mundane activities, such as the personal decision to wear or not wear a mask during a global pandemic, has turned into an impassioned political statement. It's true. This politicization of everything isn't the result of a hyper-partisan culture. It's the part of the reason for it. Like the mask controversy in the age of coronavirus, most of the things in our daily lives that have become political did so because government got involved in the first place. Like I've said, government has too much power, ladies and gentlemen. Too much power. Too much. And guess what? Guess what? They put their hand in everything. So it makes the masses fucking, oh my God, I gotta get political, and I gotta tell people to go fuck off, and I gotta do this, and I gotta go on Facebook, and I gotta do this and that. I mean, fuck! Take a chill pill, America. Go smoke some weed. Be like Joe Rogan. Go hit the herb. Go drink a beer. Calm your nerves. In fact, this is precisely why government is not well equipped to control things like education, healthcare, and retirement. Because government control inevitably means that such important areas of our lives will become campaign fodder for partisan politicians. Holy shit! I'm telling you, I want to find this person who wrote this article, and I want to, give them kudos. I mean, this is, oh my God, I'm going to be plastering this thing everywhere. This is so correct. Holy shit. When government controls huge swaths of our economic and social lives through regulation, taxation, and direct monopoly control, such as education, partisan politics suddenly have tremendous impact on how Americans are allowed to live their lives. Look, I'm not gonna get into the rest of this article. I wanted to push on some things. Guys, read this article. I swear to God, this will be on my Facebook after this podcast. If you follow me, please read this. Please read this. This is just amazing. This is an amazing piece of work. I'm going to post this after the podcast. Okay, now, the next thing. No, not that. This. Okay, so back more onto intolerance. We're going to talk about 7 common attitudes of intolerant people. Now, look, I'm not doing this to say, oh, you're intolerant. Look, you see, I got proof. I read this, and it's a very interesting article. I was like, holy shit. I read it, I felt like, oh my God. Okay, so, let's see. Do you tolerate intolerance? Before we get, it's a simple exercise, okay? So, pretty much, attitudes that intolerant people have in common. Okay, so, independently of all personal characteristics, there are certain attitudes. We all have a certain level of intolerance depending on circumstance and our personality. So, we all have it, okay? Just deal with it. We got it, okay? Fanaticism. Okay, I know some people who are fanatics about shit, okay? They fucking come on Facebook, or they get on the phone, or they get on YouTube, and they are, oh my fucking God, fanatics. When they argue, okay, whether in a political or religious conversation, they tend to be unable to argue or discuss things without taking up extremist lines of thought. It's very interesting. And extreme now you can determine what extremist lines of thought are, but they think their way of seeing things is only one way. In fact, they'll try to impose their way of seeing the world onto others. You see, I see that all the time, and here's my rebuttal to that: don't push your shit on me. Don't do it. You're gonna be sorry. Okay, we all are different people, and we all have different ideas. And what happens is, like you get. I don't know if people get frustrated nowadays because they don't have their way. I don't know, but but this right here, people are fanatics. Like I encountered something today where I had to tell my boss, "Hey, it's one of these times you're not listening again." I had to tell him 3 times, like, "Hey man, you're not listening. Like you're not listening. You're trying to bulldog like." Having a conversation is bulldog somebody because they don't, your way's the only way. No, listen up. Learn to listen, motherfuckers. Learn to listen. Okay? Learn to listen. You know, I know a lot of people are not going to watch this podcast at first because they don't want to hear this. But this is what you need to hear. I'm not doing this because I want to do this and like don't want to tell you these things. I'm telling you what you need to hear because this country is fucked right now. And if people don't start talking, waking up people, we're going down a path, ladies and gentlemen, that leads to civil war. I'll say it. You have both parties that now have active fucking militias. You have Antifa and the fucking Patriots. I mean, get a clue, ladies and gentlemen. Get a clue. This shit's gonna get worse. You need to start waking up and treating people better in your lives. Okay? You really do. I'm trying to practice what I preach. You know, I might not be perfect, but you know what? At least I have the gall to look at this shit and look, say, hey, maybe I need to kind of back off on some shit, you know? The second thing, psychological rigidity. Intolerant people are afraid of anything that's different. They're afraid of, they're rigid in their psychology. It makes them hard to accept that other people might have different philosophies and perspectives. That also includes religion and politics. So they distance themselves from anything that doesn't line up with their way of thinking. They won't accept it. They even make them feel anxious. I know of a very specific situation that I was in that I saw this firsthand with a good friend of mine. And I'm not gonna get into it, but I'm just gonna say I sat there and I make a mention or something and oh no. So yeah, I've been around people that are like this. Being a knowing all, but they don't actually know it all. I know some of these people. Sometimes people even think I am, but usually it's because I'm well researched. But I don't try to be. I mean, I think intolerant people feel like they need to defend themselves from people who think differently or think differently. Okay, I see that a lot on Facebook. Like I see a lot of people they have to like look. I'm not, you know, I I don't try to do this. Sometimes I do. This is one that they embellish or make things up, presenting theories as fact or acting knowledgeable on subjects they don't even actually. Now I don't do that. I'll be honest. Like if I don't know it, I'm gonna say, look, I don't fucking know it. I'll either look it up or I'll call somebody who knows it. But like in my line of work, I have to know it, and I've researched into whatever. Okay, they don't accept or listen to other points of view besides their own and think their closed off attitude is justified. Now, I'm going to tread very carefully when I talk about this because there are some factions in America right now, and I say factions, groups of people within these parties that feel this way. They feel it for a different reason, okay? And I want to make it very clear that don't use this to point out, oh, you're intolerant. You need to know all the facts on why somebody feels a certain way before you apply it to this. The world is simple and lockstep, and look, and this, they see the world as black and white. Again, I'm gonna say this, and maybe some of these groups that maybe feel like this maybe needs to read this. Some groups they think, oh, it's one way or the highway. No, maybe you need to back off a little bit. Take a step back. When I saw the things I saw on that post, okay, and I even made the statement, whoa, take a step back, okay. I'm not picking sides here because as for me, political parties, both sides are shit right now. There's not a single candidate that represents me fully in the major political party system. But when I saw what I saw on my Facebook page, guys, they got all of us need to take a step back. We are steps away from a major catastrophe in this country. Major catastrophe in this country, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say it. I'm not afraid to say it. I see the signs. I talk to my wife about it all the time. We actually talk about it. We're afraid. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never been this afraid in America ever, ever. Okay. All of you were when Barack Obama got elected, or when Trump got elected, whatever party you were in. I was like, okay, you know, it is what it is. That's the vote. Whatever. We just gotta live our lives and do the best we can. This is the first time I'm fucking scared. And it's all because of this. The intolerance. I wish they had an intolerance quotient. Well, that article I read earlier does. Over half of Democrats and over a third of conservatives are intolerant. Wow, just crazy. They have trouble in relationships. They lack empathy, and intolerant people, they can't cause them. The lack of empathy can cause some serious social problems. They need to correct, dominate, and always impose their point of view. I've met some of these people. Oh my God. I'm going to tell you that right there, man, I've seen that, and they tend to be extremely jealous. I've seen that in certain people. And look, this is right. So the reason why I point this out, ladies and gentlemen, is that we're getting to a point where, oh my God, this is getting bad. Now, I want to go to this article. I wanted to look. Is this it? Where is it? Where was it? Well, there was one more I wanted to. Right here. Here we go. This is the last one I want to talk about. I think I posted on this last podcast. I'm not sure, but I really want to talk about it. There's a reason Americans can't get along, and it isn't Trump. It's and I kind of touched it a little bit, but this is more about family. Families are our most basic communities. They deeply influence our perspectives and behavior. Now, this goes back, guys, to this. This goes back to this map. The reason why I brought this up is very simple. These families in these areas of the country think certain ways. Certain religious groups like the Bible Belt, the Catholics, the Presbyterians. All these groups are taught and they think certain ways. Like I think they had a statistic where most Presbyterian priests are Democrat. I think on my last podcast, there's an interesting statistic where I saw most Presbyterian priests are predominantly Democrat. Most Catholic priests are predominantly Republican. And there's one big difference between them. One can marry, one cannot. So that's kind of an interesting deal there. Point being, ladies and gentlemen, is that you have different thought within these groups. Okay, so this sounds obvious, but we often fail on this most basic level. Posting our ideas on social media is far easier than passing them along to our children. The greatest threat to our future is failing to teach our children the lessons of our past. Now, I'm going to read something, and I'm going to read. Let me see how I'm going to do this. Let me pull it from here. Pull it from my phone. Because I don't want to move this. I want y'all, if y'all want to look at it. But I posted a question to someone, okay, on this long ass deal. And this is the question I asked. And I want to be candid here because I actually have this question. For those of you who watch this, I don't want you to take any context to this. This is a legitimate question I have, okay? So the question I have is this: when does the separation of races end? At what point will we all be Americans and not an American with a prefix added to it? I ask this because, from what I see, these political parties use this to divide us. All I see anytime I see someone is a person. I call them by their name and I treat them like I want to be treated. Wouldn't that type of behavior be what is learned from the past and should be continued into the future? I only ask this because my fear is an America kept in an endless cycle of trying to change a past that can never be changed instead of focusing on a better future for all. That's why I asked that. Now, I'm not gonna go into the reply. If y'all want to watch, if you know, if you're friends with me, you want to see the reply, whatever, that's fine. You know, I don't. I'm not here to like, point agendas or whatever out here, or I'm not trying to flag somebody on the podcast. My point is this is the same thing about generational generational teaching, or teaching people, these generations how to act. Now, why do I bring this up? Because I made a statement earlier about the baby boomers and the millennials. Now, if you don't know the correlation there, I'm going to make it very simple. Most millennials' parents are baby boomers. They are taught a certain type of behavior, okay? Now, I want you to think back something, ladies and gentlemen. When the baby boomers were kids, there's a lot of chaos in America at the time. They were taught, and they sucked in all this violence and all this hate, and they absorbed all this racism. Okay, then the Gen Xers were kids of a lot of what they call the greatest generation. The generation that went to World War II and fought. And at that time, there was no room for racism because you had to fight for your fucking country. So a lot of us, we were in the MTV era. We saw things different. We questioned everything because we saw kind of the shit growing up. Like, we don't want to be a part of that. We want to be kind of together. So the point of this, guys, is that there has to be some answers to make this better in our country, with these future generations. Because look, again, I'm going to say this again. The greatest threat to our future is failing to teach our children the lessons of the past. That is one of the greatest quotes I've ever read in my life. That is so correct. Okay? Churches, mosques, synagogues, and other religious bodies are critical communities of moral accountability across our society. At a minimum, most provide an external set of behavioral expectations and establish important social bedrock. Yes, matters of faith are often a source of passionate disagreement, but they also help us focus on serving others and participate in considerable charitable work. And in my case, I'm not saying my case, but I think it really teaches you empathy. It teaches you empathy, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it teaches you. It teaches you how to be empathetic and how to care for others. We've lost that. That's one thing we've lost in this country. Like, people just don't give a shit about anyone else. I'll be willing to bet, if I look on statistics of people going to some type of faith-based church or something that could be beneficial to you. You can call it yoga, meditation, something. I bet you those numbers are way down than 10, 20 years ago. Okay? Okay, the various tiers. So like the family, religious engagement contributes to a sense of belonging so desperately needed in a society where individuals increasingly feel socially and politically isolated. People feel isolated. Depression's up. I mean, especially during this COVID, guys. I mean, this is bad juju. We really need, we need to break this wheel. And I say that, and this is the Break the Wheel podcast. But man, this is just a bad deal. Okay, so our various tiers of government in the United States are perhaps the most critical safeguards to our liberty. For many of us, it's strange to think that governments are essential to liberty, but our nation was founded on that idea. The Declaration of Independence clearly states that governments are created to protect our God-given rights. At the most fundamental level, governments set the guardrails for our engagement with each other. We agree on a certain process for elections, making laws, and a host of other decisions. Even when we hate the results, we support the process. As long as we do that, governments serve as a source of stability in American society. Okay? This is why right now, like, everybody's chaos right now. For nobody, I mean, in the past, people have, I guess, waited, haven't conceded or whatever when it comes to the election. This is the first time in the modern era that somebody's not following the tradition. They're not following the tradition of conceding. Okay, and I mean, it's not that it's not like he has to, but and I guess he has a good enough excuse. He just, I guess make the votes count or whatever. But I think right now, that's why there's so much instability. It's like, oh my God, it's different. It goes back to the intolerance. It goes back to, oh my God, something different's happening. Now, I'm not saying that people that question this are intolerant, but some of them are. The point, ladies and gentlemen, all this is that right now, it was just very mind-boggling, because mind-boggling because I know these two people, but it was just mind-racking that, oh my God, we're getting now when it starts hitting home, when it starts hitting the inner circle, like, and it has, like, I'm gonna give you another example. And another example is these bullying tactics of these political parties. How, like, especially in families. I encountered a situation where I expressed the fact that I wasn't gonna vote for Trump. Um, Probably wouldn't even vote because of the fact that I don't have anybody that really represents what I believe in. I was debating that, and I told my family that, and I got berated. Oh my God, no, you got to vote for Trump. I'm like, holy fucking shit. Like, whoa, back off. Like, come on, man. Like, next time I just won't tell you shit. It shouldn't be like that. You should be able to be a free thinker and vote for the candidate, even if vote for Kanye West. I mean, if that's who you feel, vote for whoever. When the next time it comes around. The point is that this needs to go away. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this type of thought needs to go away. It's getting worse. I mean, look, 2016 they was talking about this. 2016. All right. Oh, let me see. We got a comment from Mr. Travis Gardner. Let's see what he said. Okay. When you listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, if you just listen to this, I get comments from Facebook. I do Facebook Live, so I try to be interactive. So if you hear this, just giving you a disclaimer. Okay, so the one thing that this last administration accomplished was uncovering how people feel deep down, and in some cases not that deep. The acceptance of racist behavior by the highest office in this country only unearthed racist veins that run through this country. Okay? And thank you for that comment. All I can say to that is that certain people don't believe that, certain people do. And this goes back to kind of what I talked about earlier about how like when we talk about the two different countries, they have people that and look, in Travis's defense, he has a different perspective because of certain things, okay? And I'm not going to get into those things on this podcast. I will eventually. But I'm trying to warm people up to what type of podcast this will be before I really get into the deep and dirty. Because I'm going to get into the deep and dirty, and I'm going to face it, okay? I'm not afraid. The point in all this, ladies and gentlemen, is that why does he feel that way? We should be asking that question. Why does he feel that way? And have a conversation. And if you disagree eloquently with eloquence, and not get, because this is where the problems arise. If someone would come and disagree with that statement, it's gonna be an attack, like boom, okay, like it's not gonna be, well, okay, man, kind of disagree. This is kind of why. This is kind of what I think about it. What you think, and that can start a back and forth, conversation without having these boom, 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 like two rams, like just fighting it out. That's all I see on Facebook now. I will say that I'm probably going to, I have I'm not gonna call it like a meeting. I'm gonna have a meeting probably this weekend with someone to kind of discuss some of this stuff, and hopefully have this individual on the podcast. Because I want to have other points of view. A lot of people, I feel that a lot of people, the reason why they feel alienated is because maybe in wherever they are, they've had so many people like that are different than them, and so they feel frustrated about it, and then they're told a certain thing that maybe these other people, they were the intolerant ones, and they were, because usually, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it works. The odd man out usually gets burned. That's usually how it works. I've encountered that myself in certain circumstances over the years, where you're the odd man out. You're the guy that has a different thought. I get this at work all the time. I'm the odd one, but over the years they've learned to respect that. In fact, come to me to a lot of things because they know I can see it a different way and actually make things a little better. So over time that can be a plus for you. But if you're in a situation where you're like the odd man out, you're the minority, and I don't want to use minority. That's why I'm using odd man out, because I don't think anybody's minor than anyone else. I want to use a different verbiage to where we call it what it is. You're the odd man out. You're the person that is not in the majority, you know. So when that happens, you tend, to be faced with a situation where it could be the workplace, it could be church, wherever the case may be. It could be a situation where, if you're there over a long period of time, you can start feeling this way because you keep on hearing people acting a certain way. So don't ever with somebody. I think we discredit too many things what people say. Like, in this case, you know, I think in this case, the deep down, and I have to believe in this country, we're not as racist as a lot of people think. But I do think that I think a lot of people just don't respect a lot of people. I think that's what it is. I think what it is more of a respect issue than it is a race issue. In some situations. Now, other situations could be the racist issue. Again, I haven't walked those shoes, and I never will pretend that I ever have. That's why I want to get other people on this. I can talk. I'll just say this: there will be a podcast where I will open up about certain things that I've gone through, being from a person who's been adopted. I can talk about that, about how things were different for me versus half sister, and how I met siblings later on, and how that affected me. Thinking about things the way I do. I could talk about those types of things, but I can't talk about like racial type things because I haven't walked in those shoes. And that's why I want to get people on here. I want to get more variety of people on here who are willing to come on here and talk about breaking this wheel. Because guys, listen up. I'm gonna end with this, okay? Let me close this out here. I'm gonna go back to my first scene here because I got different scenes. I can go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and woo, and that's how it goes. Let me end this with this little soliloquy, if you may. We're in trying times right now. We're in a time where people are very divided. We've gone over things that articles even say there's two countries. We even have maps that have different cultures. America's getting very large. It's very large now, ladies and gentlemen. We're not just dealing with just your state now. This is kind of why I've always said more the states' rights than the federal government. And back to the article, and I said when the federal government starts poking its head in a lot of things, this is where everything gets politicized because education and all that stuff. When they have their hand on education, it's been shown over time. Even other political jurisdictions like Hitler, he was teaching the youth like his deal, like his fucking right bullshit. So when government takes a role, they kind of get to choose what's in the books. And I think there should be some things in the books that they don't put in the books, and vice versa. But I also think that when government puts their hand too much, this is what you get. This is what we're getting right now. And I will post that article if for some reason you're listening to me live, or if you listen. The article will be on my Facebook, and also, hopefully I can pass it along. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, listen. It's always great to have y'all here, come into the podcast. I'm hoping we have a lot more people, listen and join in. And with that, guys, have a good one.